side. So you know, these kind of wars, you know, some days you've got the upper, other days they have the capabilities there as well, right?
This is very similar to a chess match. You know,
Yeah,
you could have two strong opponents, fierce opponents facing each other. It's he that makes a crucial mistake that could then fall behind in such a way that he's not able to catch up and recover and adapt accordingly. And I'm not saying that Israel's at that point right now, but Iran definitely has strategic advantage because they do have, you know, the missile strength to be able to penetrate through all the air defenses, plus the drones that they use strategically. And then there's of course Ansarullah, Hezbollah that are around, and they've been able to neutralize some of the Mossad elements, as I was alluding to earlier, with the strategy they used, because they've done a lot of arrests. They've also shut down a drone plant that Israel actually failed to detect this missile preparation and mobilization that they were able to detect before. So what did they lose? What's the most valuable commodity in life and in war? It's time. If you have less time to prepare, you're more likely to get struck successfully and more fiercely, as you know, you're not going to be able to say operate or get your air defense systems going, or have your fighter jets up in the sky. And by the way, it's very exhausting for these countries to have to put up their F-35s or F-16s in the sky to try to shoot down drones and other aerial objects consistently, day by day. Your best fighter pilots are going to need rest. Remember, there's always human error as well. But with
the cost, the cost is huge.
Hugely cost, millions of dollars to be able to manage and maintain, because the F-35s, they break down as well, especially if they get slightly hit, and 3 of them have been hit. They haven't necessarily all gone, 3 of them have gone down. That's confirmed.
Were very clever,
and F-16 as well. Maybe more, I'm not sure, because again, Israel hides its losses. But again, these are very expensive fighter jets to maintain, and the engineers also have to be, you know, peak physical condition to be able to manage the engineering and the mechanics of these and you know what's going to be going up in cost? Cost of fuel. So they're going to have to fuel these fighter jets up consistently to try to knock down Iran's aerial objects. And what did I mention before about modern warfare? He who will emerge victor is the one who's able to maintain a steady supply of his drones, his missiles, and maintain his air defense systems, and also create unpredictability, not letting your enemy know how you're going to strike, where you're going to strike, and from where you're going to strike from, and also, of course, protect your valuable assets, your nuclear scientists, of course, but also your facilities. Irans are all underground, and they've been able to successfully use decoys, as Professor Marandi was explaining yesterday in one of his many interviews that he did. This one was on Sky News TV, where he mentioned that they use decoy radars to put out fake signals for F-35s from far enough away to detect, and then strike a decoy site. And Israel thinks they've played a small victory, and they're taking a victory lap, not knowing they haven't even touched the facility because it's so far deep within the earth. And these fools still think a 30,000 pound bunker buster will do the job. It won't. You know, even Scott Ritter admitted that it's pointless, and it's one of the reasons why that. What can the U.S. particularly do? They're not able to strike something they can't see or they can't access. So, you know, Israel failed to prepare for this particular launch, and you see once again the greatest air defense
breaking
systems.
Breaking news. I don't know if this is it's been checked, but Iran's Tasnim claims that Iran has struck a plant belonging to the Israeli arms company Rafael.
Yeah, I just saw that. I was just waiting for truth to land, and I was going to say that actually. I think Suleiman's team might be putting it out, but also just on a side note, it's they say the Israeli media admits actually that the military arms company Rafael was one of Iran's missile targets tonight. The other thing I've got is a statement from the Iranian armed forces, which I think the team's going to put out in a second, and it says, and I quote, "Leave the occupied territory." It kind of sounds like, who was saying that? Hassan was saying that, right? Hassan, you've been briefing the Iranian, yeah, exactly, the Iranian armed forces. "Leave the occupied territory because it will definitely not be habitable in the future." Whoa, guys, this is like next level. Sensitive and important targets will be targeted, including military and security centers, decision-making centers, and commanders' residences. Underground shelters are not a safe place for Zionists. And it's Tasnim that reported this. It's on fire. And I'm not just talking about Haifa. I'm talking about literally, this is on fire. They're saying to Israelis, leave. It ain't going to be habitable for you in the future. We're going to destroy Israel. So at least there's humanity there, right, guys? I think Nathan's glitched out and Simon will bring him back up.
Just a few. There's about 3 breaking news in the nest. Do you want to go through?
Yeah. I'll go through them. I think we lost a couple of people. We lost Simon and Nathan. I think, can we just bring them up, please, Suleiman? So, breaking news, guys. In the nest, Israeli media admits the military arms company Rafael was one of Iran's missile targets tonight. And that's from Tasneem. And that actually ties in with that statement that I just read, right? And the next thing is, struck a plant belonging to the Israeli arms company Rafael. So similar words, same tweet, but guys, share them, tweet it out there, get it out there. You know what? We are literally, because you know what? I'm speaking to somebody about this today in my family, and they were like, well, I didn't see any of this on the news. And I said, well, you're not going to see any of it on the news, are you? You're going to see frigging Keir Starmer's ugly mug saying, oh, we're trying to protect our bases. That's why we're sending military, and that's all you're going to see. And they were like, absolutely bang on. So you're not going to get this news anywhere. It's literally, you know, it's absolutely amazing. And I wish we had this other times, you know, previous instances, because we'd have been able to raise a lot of awareness. So please share that stuff in the nest, tweet it out there. But I just want to read that statement again, and I think the team are putting it out any second now. Spokesperson for the Iranian Armed Forces, leave the occupied territory because it will not be habitable in the future. We're going to attack everything. We're going to attack your military, your security, your decision-maker centers, your commander centers, and even your underground shelters are not going to be a safe place for Zionists. They are on fire. They ain't messing around. You know what? What Israel did was it actually poked the sleeping bear once too many times. It's the fight's on now. That's it. You know, truth promise 1, truth promise 2 were mild. They were like, okay, you know what? Back off. Just back off, please. Just back off. And now they're like, you know what? Go to hell. You want it? Gloves are off. The gloves are off. So I see people are disconnecting. We're going to bring them up.
Khaleesi, they're not telling them to go to hell.
That sounded so good.
Just a sec. They're bringing hell to Israel, and these particular individuals don't even believe in heaven or hell. They only believe on whatever's on earth. So let them get a glimpse of what they can expect in the afterlife they don't believe in.
No, listen, I'm on fire. I'm like Haifa today. I'm on fire, man. I'm like Haifa today. Seriously, I'm on fire. I've had enough of them.
Khaleesi, are you mimicking Suleiman, or is it what happens after 50 hours on Space Together?
It's what happens when Iran
Chicks
tells
crazy.
us they're coming after the illegal settlements. That's the best news I have ever heard. Since, like, you know,
Facts.
you know how
That's
it's
a
just
Father's Day
pure
gift for sure.
music.
It's true. Do you know what it is? It's like literally 20 months of watching babies. I know a lot has happened in Gaza, but for me, watching sleeping babies get burnt alive in tents, like literally, I mean, there's so much evil.
Just some more breaking news. Sorry, that tweet what you mentioned in the nest. Leave the occupied territory because it will definitely not be habitable in the future. Sensitive and important targets will be targeted, including military and security centers, decision-making centers, command residence. Underground shelters are not safe for the Zionists. That tweet is in the nest, but then let me just put the other one because there's so much news coming out. Sorry guys that I'm gonna keep on interrupting because I'm loving the energy. Oh, okay, here it is. Where's it gone? There you go. Did we mention about the Iran's Tasneem claims that Israel has?
Yeah, we did. We put it in the nest.
And so the other tweet in the nest, which is Israel. There's videos of Israelis hiding under cars as Iran attacks. And then we've also got this one, which is Israel's Broadcasting Corporation reports that Israel has officially requested the establishment of an international coalition to help defend Israel from missiles. The UK responded positively. Khaleesi, jump in. Khaleesi's woke up finally. Go ahead.
Oh my God, that's so rude. Like, I've literally been holding this down. Listen, guys, they've come with their begging bowls. They're literally out there with their poppy little begging bowls saying, please, we beg you for an international coalition. Let's all stand united together. I want to see who joins this coalition. I wouldn't, you know what, Keir Starmer is such a little slimy snake. Even Zio shouldn't trust him. That's how bad he is. So I'm more than happy for him to go in a coalition with them. Go on, Suleiman.
Iran has attacked Israel with 30 missiles this time. It was 30 missiles that were used in this attack.
What type of missiles are these ones?
I don't think we know, Simon.
They're ballistic. They were ballistic missiles. They're hypersonic. I'm conjecturing. Right. They're able to breach the air defenses. The air defenses have either already been overwhelmed So Israel's desperately waiting on more interceptor missiles. So that's why it was so important that Iran strike both David Ben Gurion Airport, which is used as a source of, them receiving all their military supplies, equipment, etc., along with Haifa port. So by Iran striking these two strategic locations, and I believe they also struck another military airport, it's gradually going to impact Israel's ability to maintain this war. And they know this. They've already basically conceded this. This is why they need a global coalition to help, because they're not going to be able to manage any type of air defense against all the drones and missiles that Iran can launch. And these, I believe, was just the feelers to see how well they would do with just 30. I think the worst is yet to come. But I just hope they don't get too confident and they still manage their stock accordingly, because they don't need to strike too many all at once. They can go very strategic and strike basically any site that they want while not utilizing too much of their missile and drone depot.
One thing, Khaleesi, I think is
Joe,
really
the
important.
reason why I say this is because America might enter, in which case that's when Iran will need the best missiles and the best equipment.
Thanks, Truth. Joe, were you going to jump in?
Yeah, Khaleesi, one thing that's really important. We already know that this space influences culture because you see everyone calling them Zios all over the place, which Suleiman, I think, was the first. I think we all need to get into the habit of saying armed settlers, because the more we say armed settlers, the less they could say, civilians, because it's not the truth. They're not civilians. They're armed settlers. And if people were armed in Gaza, they would call them a militant. So from now on, please call them armed settlers. Call them what they are.
Joey, they're terrorists. They've literally been state-sponsored terrorists in order to turf people out their homes. I mean, we've watched those footages where they beat the shit out of children, they grab children, they put guns to people, they make women watch what they're doing to their husbands, they put them through humiliation rituals, they burn down their houses. These guys, this is. You think October the 7th was bad? What these settlers have been doing to the Palestinians for decades is nothing short of terrorism. And to come up to say that these are innocent civilians tells you everything you need to know.
Avanchenzell is waiting.
Waiting for what? Asses. They are armed settler snakes. ASS. They are asses. That's what they are. Literally, they're disgusting vile people.
Only Khaleesi would come out with such an acronym, and we will allow her to completely own that in its entirety. Yeah.
And they're wearing diapers as well. Did you see the pictures?
Yeah, I posted that. It was a kind of scale of the destruction caused by an Iranian missile falling on Tel Aviv. That tweet in the nest, you can see the destruction is significant. Back to you, Khaleesi.
Yeah, I'm still trying to digest that statement of get out. It ain't going to be habitable. Even your shelters aren't safe, Zios. Guys.
And by the way, even in the UK, these settlers are classified as terrorists. So this is it reached the point where it was so bad that even the UK had to concede and say, yeah, these people are terrorists.
Can I jump in?
Yeah. Listen, Hassan, I want you to jump in, and I really want to hear from you, but please don't bring it down to doom and gloom. The energy is high. No pessimism allowed. Go on, Hassan.
I've got some really good points. Right. So, let's say, for example,
how do you know they're good?
Strategically, that this is good for Iran to take it easy.
Is that like the self-declared moral army? Yeah, we're the most moral army in the world. I've got the best points in the world.
Yeah. So they may be taking it easy because they need to ease up a bit in case America jumps in. I think that's a very valid point that the truth just said.
Yes, that's what I've been saying.
There's that possibility. So they have to keep their arsenal, and it could be a very prolonged affair. So they have to be very careful what they use. Although I would have hoped they would use. They've got like hundreds of thousands of drones. It should be like seen by now swarms of 10,000, 20,000. That would be like a dream, but yeah. Anyway, in terms of the actual achievements on the ground, psychologically. So I was speaking to a Palestinian friend. In 2 years, it's the first time I saw a smile on her face, or since October 7th. I went into,
Oh my God, Hassan! You didn't say it to her like, "Oh, listen, you shouldn't have the smile. They're not done enough."
No. I obviously we enjoyed some of the strikes. We watched some of the strikes, and it was very, very nice. So that was the first time. The other thing is, it's the first time in 70 years or 80 years that such pain has been inflicted.
Another video coming out. Tel Aviv is on fire. Tel Aviv is burning.
such pain has been inflicted on
That's
the entity to the point that it has improved the morale of the Palestinians. And this is the key point: the Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank and Jerusalem, according to his Palestinian friend, her family are all ecstatic. That morale boost at this moment in time is very important.
Huge.
And then the other thing is the resistance.
And just to add to what you're saying, Hassan, and then I'm going to give it straight back to you, that tweet in the nest actually exemplifies your point. Iranian missiles heading towards Israel are being seen in Gaza. The tweet is in the nest, you can see it from Gaza.
The other thing is people in Lebanon have had a very tough 2 years as well. It's been very painful for them, all the events that have happened, the war, Syria falling, and so on. This will create a new energy. And at the same time, it will weaken the alliance in Syria and make them scared. So this, the impact of this, especially yesterday, I think was the most powerful one, is that it will strengthen the resistance and weaken the enemies. And I think you cannot underestimate the psychological element. Obviously, I've been underwhelmed by the fighting so far, being honest with you, because I'm a bit of a pessimist. But that's the way I operate.
Get him.
But why? How can you be underwhelmed by this? I mean, it's not. They're not going to drop a nuke, are they? Straight away. They're going to build up to it. What's wrong with you?
I'm comparing it to yesterday's. I was expecting a notch up from yesterday.
So
far, I haven't.
So once again, you can say what you like.
We're stealing the
It's
fuel.
early afternoon where
And
I'm
yet none of us
just
can
getting
pick a
started.
damn
The night
lock.
is young, so for you to pass judgment like that, I'm
Well,
underwhelmed.
that's
Well,
why I said.
you're
That's why I
jumping
said.
to conclusions here.
That's why I said I'm reserving judgment. But I said so far.
Well, then why'd you say you're underwhelmed?
As
Why'd
in,
you say you're underwhelmed?
as in comparing it to yesterday, so far it hasn't like yesterday. So give it some time.
Yeah, but you
and
can't
then we'll
compare it
see.
to yesterday. Once again, you're caught in another lie because today hasn't been completed. You can compare today to yesterday at the end of today, not when
True.
it's early today and they just started.
Correct. But you were asking me about how I feel so far. I'm just giving you an honest answer. That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
I didn't ask you. I don't care how you feel. I don't trust your intentions. I don't trust
No,
who
you-
are.
no, you- I was
Khaleesi
thinking about
unfortunately
Khaleesi.
sees some good in you. I don't know why, but she'll figure it out.
Yeah, I see good in everybody, me, apart from Zios and asses. I see good in everybody because I'm good like that. Go ahead, carry on.
I think
Solomon,
I think you should.
Solomon, this is why men lead, women follow.
Exactly.
Okay, that is so enough.
There was one final.
Guys, just 1 second, guys. I just want to welcome Jackson onto the stage. Jackson, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Saw that.
I
appreciate you
I don't
coming.
know how much I'm going to be able to talk right now. I'll definitely talk more later, but I want to boost the space and make sure that the Zios don't overtake us in that other space with all the. Well, yeah, I'd imagine that space is pretty silent tonight, anyways. The Zios are usually pretty silent during the nighttime this week. So, anyways, as the Zionists have told us for the past 600 days, war is hell. Now they're beginning to really understand what that means. So let's boost the space, retweet it, and I'll be talking more later.
I appreciate you coming on, Jackson. I appreciate your support, and yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, just jump in whenever you want. It's honor to have you. Maybe we should turn back. So Hassan, you were speaking. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying the final thing I missed actually before, which there's a benefit of psychological benefits of the strike so far, is the unity now amongst the Muslims and the isolation of the sectarian ones on all sides. And I'm seeing that has been weakened. The unity that has been galvanized. It was lost for a period with the fall of
They're
Syria.
not owned anymore.
Now that's been recovered. So from a political and morale point of view, again, this has changed the game.
So I'll tell you a quick story from a PA agent who was speaking on a different space, and he was coming through the airport, and he was going through interrogation. They don't care. He mentioned that I guess he lives in. I won't say who he is, obviously. Reasonable area. That's what he mentioned on the space. On his passport, it says, not officially citizen of Israel. Apparently, I didn't know this. That's the type of residency card they have, and so it gives Israel the right to treat them as the second-class citizens. They stripped them down, fully naked, and then they were. I'm going to try to be politically correct. They were playing with his private areas, and then asking him, "How do you feel about this?" And if he gives the wrong answer, he's not able to board the plane because he was departing. And so, he I guess he's been through this before. And so he just essentially responded in kind. Well, how do you feel about this? Are you enjoying yourself there? But not so, not with too much sarcasm. but to the point where, you know, still after 10 or 15 minutes more of this torture session, this sexual assault, eventually let him go. But that's what a PA member had to deal with, that he admitted, by the way, on his face, you know, angrily, of course, because he was responding to another individual that claimed that 25 humanitarian aid trucks had entered into Gaza, and that was sufficient and should last for 6 months. That's what they literally said, even though prior to 10/7, there's a minimum of 500 aid trucks that were entering, and they dropped that down to an average of 50 after 10/7 to, again, push for towards their policy of starvation, famine by design.
By the way, a good way to make a bad real estate investment for all of those people that invested in those settlements is to blow the damn things up.
They actually paid for their homes over there? I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, no, they steal them all, but then they also try and fleece a bunch of money from the West and from Jewish people in the diaspora, and then make them invest in these illegal settlements.
I'm disappointed.
We're just seeing I'm just seeing a video of a direct hit in Haifa. The moment it was hit, that's mad. I'm just gonna pause it a second.
Yeah, and by the way, this is why Starbucks lost 10% of its price, because it was leaked that they've some of their leadership has been investing in like the illegal settlements, and that led to the overthrow with their CEO. So I just want you to know there is power in boycotting. Be conscious with your money. That actually made a material impact, and that's how you really impact things. By the way, it's not messing around with paid for politicians. Is actually impacting profits and share price, and that's when they listen. And Starbucks is a classic example.
Plus, their drinks are full of carcinogenics.
I've seen shops empty out completely Pepsi and 7-Up Coke and replace them with Kinza Cola.
Yeah, you know where they're not emptied out though is in Saudi Arabia and UAE. Those Starbucks are still full because you know which side they're on. And by the way, their lattes, their foam, all that crap they use, as the lady mentioned, they are full of carcinogens and chemicals. So you're not going to boycott for the moral reasons, political reasons. Do it for your own health.
Yeah, and that tweet's in the nest. Iran is bombing Israel. It's the footage of the moment the Iranian missile struck a building in Haifa. So the moment the Iranian missile struck the building in Haifa, that tweet is in the nest. Significant hits happening right now.
What makes me really, really happy, right? And I mean, it really makes me happy. It's kind of just uplifted me is that the people in Gaza are looking over their skies and they can see this. Truly. I mean, for them, it's just like, we can't imagine what it must mean for them. If you've lost your children, your husband, your parents, your family, your limbs, you know, everything. And then you see this going over, you think there is somebody there. I mean, they know we're all there. I'm not joking. When I went to Gaza, I'm not kidding you. They said to me, because I went after Castled, right? A while after Castled, there'd been like 4 assaults. Like there was Castled and there were 3 other operations that Israel did. And I went after that. And they said, we see you. They said, we see you, we see you, we see you. When you're outside and you're talking to your governments and you're protesting, we see you. And it makes them so happy. So they know when we do that, right? But this they will see going over their own skies and they're going to feel like there's somebody there for us. I feel so emotional even talking about it. It's bish, bash, bosh for Haifa tonight. It's like literally Haifa's on fire. And buildings and mortar, like literally bricks and mortar is burning. I'm not celebrating a human being burning, but it's bricks and mortar. They're going through pain. They're going through discomfort. Netanyahu's going to have to answer for this. They've been shamed in the whole world. They've gone out with their begging bowl tonight asking for a coalition. And I am elated. I'm going to go crack open a can of Red Bull so we can keep the show going.
Thanks for that. I want to welcome Saviour onto the space as well. Thanks for joining us. Do jump in with any news you have as well, Saviour. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
It was your sister that invited you, not the bro.
Thank you, Khaleesi. Sorry.
Joking.
Come on, Saviour. How do you feel? The settlements they're going to be targeted. You've been covering like this whole genocide all the way through. We've been watching horrific things happening, expansion of illegal settlements, state-sponsored terrorism. Iran said that bombs are, that they need to clear the way out. How do you feel?
It's just karma, innit? You know, whatever you put out in the universe, it always comes back around at one point. So, yeah. I mean, I would say more, but the country that I'm living in at the minute is a bit crazy on the laws and that. But yeah, celebrations taking place.
Got you. And then just understand the complicity there. I happen to live on an island where I can speak a little bit more free, but many times people have been watching state-sponsored terrorism, and by showing support for any type of resistance against it is considered an act of crime in your country that can lead to your arrest, and in some cases the equivalent of the feds turning up at your door. And we had like Sarah Wilkinson, a pro-Palestinian protester. The police turned up at her door, like overthrew all of her house searching, claimed she was a terrorist supporter, locked her up with no shoes on, like in a freezing prison.
Sorry, Simon, I'm just going to interrupt really, really quickly. So Haaretz is reporting this, that the Israeli government's ordered airlines not to take Israelis abroad even when rescue flights began. They said, don't let them leave the country. This is atrocious. Literally, the Israeli government is holding its own population hostage. I don't give a mic right back to you, but yeah, Xavier reminded me of something. We're not allowed to celebrate this stuff. I'm just really ecstatic tonight, generally, because it's Father's Day, whatever. But yeah, we're not allowed to celebrate this stuff in England because it's an arrestable offense, so yeah. And the tweet is in the nest, guys. The Iranian army official statement. We struck residential locations of Israeli leaders and scientists. The military spokesman for the Iranian army forces, Colonel Reza Sayed, he said, and I quote, in the past few nights, we succeeded in striking sensitive and important targets, including military and security centers, decision-making centers of the regime, and residences of military leaders and scientists in your occupied territories. We now have a complete database of information about all your vital, sensitive, and important locations. Therefore, we urge you not to allow the criminal regime to use you as human shields. This is amazing because what they're doing is they're talking directly to the Israeli citizens. They're literally saying that we actually hit military leaders and et cetera, in your occupied territories, and we urge you not to allow the criminal regime to use you as human shields. Coming on the back of what I just read about Haaretz not allowing people out and telling the Israeli government telling airlines not to allow people to leave. They definitely want to leave people as human shields. Back to who was talking there, Xavier and Simon.
Just the tweet in the nest. Do you want to go for it?
I literally just read it, the statement.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, that's how. Do you see that? That's how much Suleiman pays attention to what I say.
That's funny. He's doing he's doing a lot of work with man stuff. But like real quick, I just wanted to put this in before I go to Xavier. Because I only have like 2 minutes to talk, but I just wanted. Felicia, I just sent you this post by Mario, and I don't want to put anyone's name out there, but I guess I just did. But so he posts this thing where he's saying basically there are massive protests in Iran, condemning the Islamic regime, the IRGC, basically, and literally in the video it's one guy shouting, and the video is taken from like a mile away. It's like, what kind of, this is next level propaganda. I'm going to send it to you, Simon, so you can take a look at it too. But just take a look at that, Khaleesi. It's actually really funny.
Yeah, so we got one person shouting, and that means that there's riots. They're about to overthrow the government. There's a revolution coming. Like, do you work for Netanyahu? What the hell?
The worst part about it, Simon, is the video, it doesn't even show the guy. It's like a mile away. It's like some guy in the residential building, and the other guy, you can just hear him shouting. It's literally one guy.
And at the moment, look, most of the people that want the real information are here. If you want to listen to Netanyahu, BBC, CNN, Fox level of analysis from agents, then you can go either turn on BBC or go to this is the real information. Like, it's just insane. Like, the level of analysis is the BBC says this, CNN says this. And therefore, we must listen to our CIA-sponsored media that is telling us the truth impartially.
I can't believe the levels that BBC has actually gone to in terms of the propaganda.
And even the other trick is to bring up somebody that works for the like U.S. military or something, and so obviously they come up with all the
They can
credible.
they can stage all these propaganda videos and take old videos and claim they're. They might even take one from the Masa Amini clips as well from when they were protesting.
What was that?
They're gonna do it. Propaganda warfare.
Oh my god, whoever this is.
December 17,
Did I just die from an explosion? I just died from an explosion.
Whether they're better, we don't know.
Luckily I saved right there.
Two missiles, a new generation of Sigil missiles, and Khurram Shah missiles whose warhead weight and guns have not yet been used. These missiles are among the most advanced weapons that Iran has stockpiled to carry out future attacks. And that's from the Iranian Force Agency. So what they've been able to do, what they have with all their missiles, from 20, 30 year stock, including a few new ones, they haven't even used their best stuff yet. So when people like to think that, oh, Iran has maybe 1,000 missiles left, you don't even know what they have. They haven't even used their best stuff yet.
Can I say something? Lacey?
You don't need permission.
Yeah, of course. Please jump in.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. So, I actually sent you something in the back channel. This is something to consider when we're thinking about a prolonged war. The New York Times had written an article about China's chokehold on this obscure mineral that threatens the West's militaries because it produces not the entire world supply of samarium, which is a rare earth metal, but the vast majority of it.
Sorry, I got a quick update. This one's, I think Khaleesi will like this one. From Prime Minister India's office was supposed to second following the head of negotiations the coordinator of the business trial, PM's office. And what they're saying now is that Israel is prepared to show more flexibility in negotiations. So it won't be zero risk anyway. But they say the conditions have not yet matured to send a negotiating delegation. This is what they're talking about behind the scenes, slowly conceding the fact that they're not going to be able to tell around what to do.
I told you, they have such weak
nuclear programs.
They have such thin skin, Drew. They have the thinnest skin out of any
3 days.
any
They
military
couldn't
I've
even
ever
last
seen.
3 days. It's a paper tiger.
So, excuse me.
I just put a tweet in the nest as well. You can see
When I was a girl,
basically
I thought
Israelis
my
are just
home was a
losing it
prison.
after Iranian strike. You see this chick on the road just crying. And
I told you guys, when it comes to like physical, the Israelis being in any way, shape, like a cut on their finger, they lose it. And it's been shown over and over again that they can't, like if this were some kind of a ground war, it would have been over.
And if you do a cut on their finger, you're a terrorist.
Simon, Israeli defense
No, they can't.
Just a
They
second.
can't handle that. They can't handle any kind of personal discomfort or injury.
I think Truth's got breaking
This is
news.
from Israel Katz. The achievements, he's talking about Iran, are remarkable and important on both psychological and operational levels. He actually said this. The Iranians are trying to create an impression that they are victorious. They haven't created any impressions. People are just judging on the videos. They are attempting to exploit their proxies. How? Where? Militias in Iraq, the Houthis, Hamas, Hezbollah, in order to deter regional countries. Have they been deterred? I've seen UK flights in the sky. They are under pressure, and Khamenei is under pressure. We want to undermine the Iranian regime's resolve. It's not working. We're not against Iranian citizens. We must diversify targets. Diversify. I thought they hit all the targets. Air defenses, missiles, nuclear program, and regime-affiliated targets. So it's an acknowledgement that their operations so far to date, doesn't mean it can't change in the future, have failed.
Yeah, I mean, all they did really was hit civilians. Okay, so I think this is a really important thing about the samarium because it's absolutely necessary for the military. And the global reserves are about 2 million tons, and China holds the vast majority of that. About the global production, about 700 tons annually, with China producing the vast majority, as I said. It's significantly larger than any other country, the other countries being US, Brazil, India, Sri Lanka, and Australia. They have some reserves. Samarium is a byproduct of bastnasite and monazite mining, which are concentrated in China. And the world relies heavily on China for samarium. And the US is concerned about this, particularly because of the China's export restrictions of rare earth. Why does this matter? Because in order to be able to make what they need for war, they need samarium. Because that's the most important thing, the idea of this continued war becomes impossible for Israel or the US.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. China has a 90% monopoly on all the rare earth minerals that are needed for semiconductor chips, which not only powers artificial intelligence, every iPhone, every laptop, every computer, all of the artificial intelligence, all of the cloud-based companies, also every drone, every F-35 fighter jet. That's how you know the trade war was a complete farce. The trade war was a way of resetting the world order through tariff policies, given that China had already won the trade war, and that's what you're witnessing right now. And this is again another example of Trump has to deliver a MAGA narrative on top of a completely it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. The U.S. military is 100% dependent upon China.
So it would be to their advantage to gain Iran on multiple levels, but also it's being very much restricted, right? Ultimately, they have to be careful. And China has been backing up Iran right now because they're not stupid.
Iran's in BRICS. They're strategically aligned. They won't. You're not going to see China suddenly come along. But the BRICS alliance combined is people like to undermine it as if it's just a talking shop, as if it's just because they haven't seen a currency launch. The BRICS alliance is what's actually causing this. This is a de-dollarization movement and an alignment around key strategic resources that has changed the shape of the world as we see it right now. They just want to undermine it and make it look like there's nothing there. But Iran joined BRICS, and Iran, Russia, and China have created a settlement network whereby they can ship essential resources in a barter network, and they can use cryptocurrency in order to make those transactions with no dependency upon the dollar. And the tariff wars just drew all of the different nations closer to that BRICS alliance. That was the desired effect. And so all of these are big, very geopolitical, strategic moves negotiated at the highest level between the relative powers. Around everything's about resources and trade. That's what all of this is about. But yeah, Iran has to stay with BRICS. And no, if you're waging war on Iran, if US wages war on Iran, you're waging war on BRICS. It doesn't exactly work out that way, but behind the scenes, there's all the diplomatic effort and negotiations. So if you think that Trump can negotiate a trade deal with China without what happens with Russia and Ukraine and what happens with Iran and Israel not being an essential part of the conversation, then you're completely deluded. All of these tie in together. And I know many people would like to see, oh yeah, why can't they get involved militarily? Well, at the end of all of this, it's going to be negotiated through trade and diplomacy.
I'm not convinced. I don't think America will ever do a trade deal with Iran or try not to strangle Iran economically.
Oh, they will keep trying.
Yeah, but there's a difference between trying and power dynamics changing. You can tell me what you want, but if you don't have the power to achieve it, and that's what this recognition is. This is a recognition of the new power structure. I mean, I just feel that people in the West, they just want to believe that Israel, America, Europe, UK are this power structure that never changes. The British Empire fell, the American Empire rose, the American Empire falls, and a new empire rises. Like this.
Sorry, Simon, I'm just going to interrupt. Guys, if there's any breaking news, just jump in. And please, everyone, do retweet the space again, right? It's really important because this is a space where there's no Zio propaganda going on, as Brother Hussein said. So even if you have retweeted it, please go in and retweet it again.
We've got us banned for the Zionist propaganda.
Oh my God, Truth, listen, stop taking jabs. Welcome back to Jackson. And if there's any updates or any news, please do jump in. We've lost Nathan, our news finder. I'll try to see where he is. He's probably gone for a break, but we'll get him back on. Truth, if there's any news, anybody, Savior, if there's any news, I don't even know, Savior, if you're free right now, but I really appreciate you joining. Jackson, if there's anything you hear as well, please, guys, just jump in and give the breaking news. We've lost Jackson again. Hopefully we'll get him back.
Khaleesi, they put up an image of the Wiseman Institute, which is again what's used to help develop technology towards Israel's whatever weapons program they have. It's completely destroyed.
Where's the other door?
Apparently, allegedly, they're not going to admit this. There were some scientists that were in there at the time of the strike. I'm not sure if they were in bunkers, but again, Israel won't confirm those types of losses. It's too much.
Yeah, they said Iran said that that's who they were targeting. They were targeting scientists, right? Also, breaking Iran have said this officially. They said Iran have not used their best missiles yet. Iran has not used their Fatah 2 missiles, the new generation of Sijil missiles, or the Khorramshahr missiles, whose warheads weigh 2 tons. These missiles are among the most advanced weapons that Iran has stockpiled to carry out future attacks. So just to confirm what I think Truth was mentioning this previously, that they've not actually used the 3 more advanced missiles at their disposal. These are the more older tech. This is also what Professor Morandi said as well.
Absolutely.
There's another breaking news. Hold on, wait. There's another breaking news. I'm not sure if I don't think you guys have said it yet. It's from Mint Press News. Initial reports that Iran struck the residences of Israeli leaders and scientists in its latest ballistic missile attack.
Yeah, Solomon mentioned that, but it's good to hear it again anyway. So, just to add a comparison to what Solomon just stated with the missiles they haven't used, the ones they have used, so the one that hasn't been used has 2 tons worth of warhead, payload essentially. The ones they have used have 500 kilograms and have done as much damage as they can. So I anticipate a 4x more damage with the missiles they haven't used yet, if they even need it. They may be saving those for future escalation in the event of, in case say there is a
Oh my god, man.
come to Israel's defense. They're
Fuck
begging
these
behind the
crashes.
scenes. Already agreed. U.S. is already there. I don't think they need to be asked. France will probably jump in as well, and of course the Gulf states will do as they're told. Obedient dogs that they are.
Hey, Truth, would you say of all of the strikes that Iran has done so far, can you think of a particular theme that they're trying to wipe out? Do you think it's like Israeli command structure? Can you put a theme of where they're going for?
Well, yeah, I mean, they've stated this, and you mentioned it yourself. All of the military strategic sites, the ports, which will cut off the supply chain for future weapons coming in, airports as well, such as the David Ben Gurion Airport, in addition to the military airports as well. They struck the ammonium nitrate plant for fertilizer and whatever else it's used for, probably weapons as well. If they're able to actually manufacture anything within Israel, they probably have some small capacity. Wouldn't doubt it. Of course, their nuclear sites, they've already hit Dimona. Again, Israel's definitely going to do their best to hide that because that's a symbolic site. That was their first nuclear site that they built illegally back in the late 1950s, 60s when they were stealing uranium from the Apollo plant in Apollo, Pennsylvania. It was called NUMEC. And in addition to that, they're targeting scientists. They went after the Weizmann Institute. We just discussed that because they're the source of creating future weapons technology. And in addition to that, I'd also go after their various tech companies. They went after Rafael, the missile defense systems, of course, too. Eliminate their ability to defend against any missiles, though they've already figured out how to breach them. But go after all the batteries. So that's where Hezbollah or Ansarullah could come in handy. Strike at the source of that, because then you'll know exactly where they are. While Iran is striking, strike at their air defense systems as well. And beyond that, it's a propaganda war as well, right? Manage the propaganda, because Israel's very good at deception. They're still trying it, and they're still trying to incite riots within Iran, and they're failing because killing those civilians, the 60 of them, and striking that hospital immediately created unity even among dissidents and those that hate the regime. They're going to unite because at the end of the day, they're still nationalistic, and they're not going to tolerate this foreign entity, this illegal regime killing its civilians, much less seeing 3-4-year-olds with bruises, scars, and even an 11-year-old was killed as well. So it's a well thought out, comprehensive plan to be able to neutralize and incapacitate Israel. That's the main theme, of course, so that they'll never dare think twice about ever striking again. And this is me speculating now, but if they were to ever consider any type of ceasefire, hopefully it'll be contingent on immediate ceasefire, cessation of any hostilities in Gaza, withdrawal from all the settlements, and on a Palestinian state as well, because we know the Gulf states, Qatar, Egypt, they're all freaking useless. In addition to America, they're never going to acknowledge a Palestinian state. But Iran, who knows? Maybe I'm shooting for the skies. They might have that power. We'll see. We'll see how things unfold. We're only 3 days in. Maybe they will have the ability to negotiate along with China or Russia. They may step in and say, hey, if you want to de-escalate, Give the Palestinians their state unconditionally. Cease, withdraw immediately, no conditions, or they'll just keep striking. Or they'll either withdraw willingly, voluntarily, or, you know, I got to be watching my language here. I don't want to get my account nuked. Or let's just say they won't have anything left to fight with, and they'll be forced into submission.
Just some more breaking news. Just some more breaking news. Again, we're getting videos of the moment Iranian missiles hit Haifa in the night. Just want to welcome Jackson back. Appreciate him continue to try to get into the space. We know there's many issues
Can someone
related to the space.
confirm this as a
So
breaking news?
appreciate. Just finishing my point. So I appreciate that. Go ahead, Dr. Arthur.
Okay, so I don't know if someone can confirm, but apparently Reuters has reported that President Trump voted an Israeli plan to kill Iran's supreme leader Khamenei. According to a source on Twitter, Reuters has reported on this.
Yeah, it sounds like something.
Yeah, we mentioned this.
Trump claims that he stopped that assassination. Yeah, because Israel does want to kill him. Trump claims, trying to play hero, that he veto, as if he has the agency to veto anything, does what he's told. But yeah, they definitely put that out there and just to instill some fear within the Iranian leader. But again, you're dealing with chess players.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Netanyahu came out and denied it. Sorry, Truth, but I just wanted to put that in there. They came out and denied.
He also claims, Netanyahu's the same guy who claims that it was Iran that orchestrated the 2 assassination attempts on Trump. That guy's a pathological liar.
Yeah, so anything you see from Reuters, all of these networks, these are strategic propaganda that they need. You know, you're getting an indication of what they want you to believe, not what is actually happening. But I just wanted to say that what you're witnessing in Israel.
We got just some breaking news. This is quite big. Reports of an Iranian missile hitting a military airport in Raqqa. So an Iranian missile hitting a Israeli military airport in Raqqa. So significant damage. Have hit a wide range of targets. Haifa is on fire, but we already mentioned the fact that they targeted key scientists and key military personnel previously. The Iranian army official statement, if you remember, they said we struck residential locations of Israeli leaders and scientists, and so it's not just that they've attacked Haifa, they've attacked the military base that we're speaking about. So it's been a significant wide berth attack, attacking key leaders and infrastructure.
Yeah, so what you're witnessing in Israel right now is the complete breakdown of turning it into virtually a distressed asset. It's a complete vassalization. It's destroying the value of their bonds, making it uninvestable. Making their real estate become unpurchasable by foreign direct investment, making their insurance premiums go through the roof, making their economic activity in order to export, making the entire economy a distressed asset, basically, ready for vassalization. And so all of the impact of taking down this infrastructure and making it essentially very, very hard to function and do business and operate, has a significant economic hit, and just makes it, ripe for economic weakening, vassalization, and a predatory purchase of all the key assets.
Just a quick.
I think Netanyahu's calculation.
So, Mark, Hassan, by the way, you might want to look into this. Israel's presented. Yeah, I had a breaking news as well. Real quick. First of all, Hassan, Israel's got some job opportunities available for propagandists. You might want to look into that. You're pretty good at it. Also, breaking news channel. Sure, go for it. Apply. So, Oman and Qatar cooperating with each other to try to broker a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Iranian Revolutionary Guard Mohsen Rezai says the war will continue for weeks. No intention of any ceasefires.
So I think.
Sorry, Truth. Who was trying to broker that? Who was that from?
Oman and Qatar, the 2 treacherous Gulf states.
Wait, but Truth, you said that Iran said that it was going to be lasting for weeks?
Yes, that's from I'll tell you who, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard commander Mohsen Rezai.
That's actually pretty big, because now they're basically saying there's no deal on the table whatsoever.
No, they want to incapacitate Israel. They're done talking. There's no There's supposed to be negotiations today. No one's answering Trump's calls. He's not going to tell you that, though.
They're turning Israel into a distressed asset, and they're going to continue until it's completely distressed.
This is not the calculation that Netanyahu is making. I'll tell you the calculation he's making.
Netanyahu works for the military.
Right? Well, what's Mossad saying, Hassan? What's Mossad saying?
He believes that he's going to be able to turn this round, destroy Iran, turn it into something like resembling Iraq, and continuously bomb it as much as he wants. Stop any security risk. Stopping security risk over Israel.
Not even Israel believes that or stating that. No, that's not his calculation. His
okay.
calculation was a failed regime change. They were never going to look to destroy. They were never going to seek to try and destroy or turn Iran into Iraq because it's an impossibility. First of all,
they're go hard.
They're too powerful. They have an army, navy, likely nukes at this point, air force, etc. And they can produce their own weapons, missiles, drones, spy satellites, etc. Iran's not Iraq. So once again, you create a false equivalency, apples and oranges comparison.
1 second, Truth. Let him finish. Go ahead,
give me a chance.
You don't deserve a chance.
Oh my God.
Truth.
Oh my God. All right, you continue. You continue, Truth. You go ahead.
Hassan, finish.
It's okay. He's throwing you a bone. Take it.
That's all right. You're the one with the truth, right?
No, Hassan, make your point. If not, you don't need to be on the panel.
So my point is, obviously they were attempting regime change, and with that caused chaos in Iran. That's what I meant. To turn it into another vassal state. That is his objective, and he is gambling on that. I know it's a very unlikely thing, but that's what he is hoping for, and he's hoping America is going to come and do it for them. Right? That's his objective. But the other thing is Trump on his side it's not possible to negotiate with this guy, because everything he does is lie. So even if one day he actually genuinely wants to come and negotiate, there's no possible way to know that what you agree with him, that he's going to stick to it and not flip the next day and use it against you, or use it as a deceptive tactic. So there's no way that Iran can negotiate anymore. It's stuck in a place that has to go through this.
Every country has to negotiate. That's what the end of every single war is. You can't.
But how can you negotiate with Trump? It's not possible.
That's how Trump's not in charge. I don't know how many times you keep thinking that Trump and Netanyahu are negotiating here. Netanyahu is a salesman for weapons, and Trump is a salesman for deals for the banks, and they're going to do deals. And it's got in that way. That's how it ends.
If you ask any Iranian right now in Iran, they've been deceived multiple times over the last 2 years. They've been deceived with the ceasefire attempts. They delayed true promise through 2, 3, and every time there's been a deception from America. And Trump now is coming at even his next level liar, right? So they can't if they sit down on the table, these guys have got no faith in them whatsoever. They even took out their negotiator. Do you not understand? When you take out a negotiator repeatedly, there's just no way to deal with these people. These people are not dealing with BlackRock. Iran isn't dealing with
just some more breaking news. Let me just give you some more breaking news. The tweets in the nest. Iran's foreign ministry building, you can see, is completely destroyed as well after Israeli strikes. Okay, 1 second. That's Iran's foreign ministry building. That's his strike. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it really is as simple as that in my mind. The Iranians are rational actors. They have a clear objective. They think things through. They're patient. They are calculated. So calculated, they're driving Netanyahu mad. That's how calculated they are. And on the other end, you've got Netanyahu and you've got Trump, and they're representative of the societies that they're coming from. It's not a coincidence that these people are in charge. This is who the societies that they represent.
Yeah, and we just posted the picture of the Wiseman Institute, and public actually made a golden point. So the Wiseman Institute, you can see, is completely destroyed, and then someone commented, Omar, saying, according to the IDF, this is AI and not true. Because remember, they mentioned that it was AI and like they hadn't really been hit, and then public wrote, according to 1984, it's fake as well. These guys are crushing out, saying there's nothing really happening in Israel, which is basically the IDF propaganda. So yeah, that's happening right now.
And Hassan, I'll tell you how I know, like, Iran and Iraq are at war, and then eventually it leads to what is the exit. Like this is not a forever war. A forever war means that America is trying to make profits from a forever war. That's what Afghanistan was. This is not a forever war. This is an actual decision-making moment that resets the world order, and whoever has the most strategic leverage is the one that's going to bring the most cards to the table. But everyone's going to sit at the table in the end. They're not going to just carry on bombing until the whole Middle East is owned by Iran or something.
Yeah, no, there's going to have to be an exit ramp at some point. I'm not sure actually there will be, because to me, I actually believe, whether you disagree with me or not, this could be the final war between the entity and Iran. This could be the final war.
It is the final war, 100%.
Which I would, but I mean two scenarios. It's either us or them. It's that simple. So either the Palestinians.
But there is a third entity, which is the vassalization of Israel. And an agreement between the power structure of the region.
No, that doesn't work. But I told you that doesn't work because these people can't stay here. They won't be able to stay here. They won't want to stay here.
Well, so they leave then. They can leave. They don't have to be forced.
I don't know if Nathan's got breaking news. Just 1 second, guys. Nathan, is it breaking?
No, I would have jumped in. I was wondering if Solomon there, because I sent him something. I was wondering if he's seen it already.
Yeah, jump in anytime when you have.
Yeah, no, if I have breaking news, I'll jump in, but that's something totally different. So that's why I don't mind letting them conversate, because I don't like to just disrupt the conversation. It's hard sometimes to disrupt the flow.
Hold on, yeah, I'll check it out. I'll check out what he said.
Thanks, Nathan, Hassan, and Simon. I think it was right. Great discussion. I'll let you guys continue.
I was just going to say, yeah. I mean, you look at the end of this, there is the most likely one-state solution that we're ever likely to get to. And you said, if people want to stay, they stay. If people want to leave, they leave. But, you know, there is going to be... Yeah, we all know that a two-state solution is fraught with problems. And the end result has to be a one-state solution. But imagine a one-state solution where these regions are not used for Western interests to make military cells. That's what's being regime changed in Israel, them being a Western pawn for military cells, because the military industrial complex is stepping aside and moving over to other regions. That's what I think.
Well, you're ignoring the point. This is a society that is not normal, and it can't be allowed to continue.
It's not normal because of propaganda.
The people. No, but the people will not change.
I really
Those people
hope
will
that
not change.
So they leave.
Be removed.
They leave then.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying to you. Is us or them scenario. The best case scenario right now is a negotiated return of the settlers back into Europe, back into America. That's where we're headed.
But what a great way to achieve that is for Iran to target the settlements, turn it into what Gaza looks like, and then there's going to be a rebuild negotiation based upon the economic powers that are going to be investing in the rebuild of a one-state solution.
But those people will not accept to leave.
But if Iran is sending bombs, they've just told them you have to leave now or accept consequence.
Yeah, so this is what we're going to see, if they're going to stay or not. That's the point. If they're staying, it means that the war's going to continue.
Well, if we take Iran for their word, and so far they seem to have been delivered on most of their words, then they're going to be heading over to the settlements shortly. Unless the news was fake news.
We shall see. Unless this is a very long war where they're going to stick it out, and they've shown that they're not going to give up so easy.
Yeah, I mean the length doesn't really matter. It's the result that matters. I'm not speculating on how long this takes. It's just in the end, it leads to diplomacy based upon the military leverage you achieved.
We're just getting some unconfirmed reports that there is a power outage in Haifa. These reports are unconfirmed but need to be verified. But there is some reports coming out that there is an energy power outage in Haifa.
I just don't think we're going back to an illegal occupation after this, and it's confusing. It's tricky to figure out what it is. But if Iran now does actually target those illegal settlements and they start to reshape the land based upon this military conflict that we're experiencing right now, then the whole region is vassalized. Israel is vassalized, West Bank is vassalized, Gaza is vassalized, and something very different gets rebuilt based upon the outcome of this.
So, guys, really quickly, I've been sent a couple of bits, right? And I did know some of this. I was going to post it. I don't know when it was, last week or whatever, but then it obviously just remained forever in my bookmarks. But I'm going to read it out to you, right? Or I'm just going to give you an indication of it. So you know how Israel's asked for an international coalition to help them fight Iran. Basically, they've gone begging, and Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, the UK Prime Minister, said, "Oh yeah, okay, you know, we're open to that." This isn't Britain kind of staying on the sidelines, right? Britain's got form here. So let me tell you, as an example, in 1953, okay, MI6, which is the UK intelligence agency, and the CIA, which is the American. Guys, just before I go there, there is a video in the nest. It says another video from today's Iranian attacks on Israel. This one ends with a bang. Look at that. The sky is lit up, and I want you to turn the sound on when you watch that. That video is absolute fire. No pun intended, but it is absolute fire. Please watch it, please share it, please retweet it. One second, guys. I'm gonna just read to you this. 1953, MI6 and the CIA plotted, so the two agencies, the UK and American, plotted to overthrow Iran's democracy, literally. Right? This is atrocious, guys. They plotted to overthrow. This is in 1953. Like, we are really diseased and poisonous, truly. So give me a second. Give me 1 second, guys.
Yeah, and the reason they did that is because of the nationalization of oil, and they had a company, British Petroleum, which is a massive petrol station and gas company in the UK. And British colonizers wanted to continue to use Iran's oil and use it as a petrol station. And Iran dared to try and nationalize their oil and use it for their own people's interests, so they don't have to pay as much tax and become debt slaves like everyone in the UK is right now.
Yeah, that's when they overthrew Mossadegh.
Correct.
The democratically elected prime minister.
And then they pretend, oh, the reason we're doing this is because we're exporting democracy. We're civilizing the world. Those pesky Iranian terrorists, they needed civilizing. You know, that was the justification for all of this.
It always is. Remember how they invaded Iraq? Because there was a dictator there, Saddam Hussein, and they wanted to bring democracy. It was like
Sorry, guys, I'm back. Yeah. So I heard Simon say about oil. So what it was they wanted a non-communist coup d'etat in Iran to install a dictator who would, as Simon just said, promote UK oil interests, right? That was in 1953. Anyway, moving on. In, I don't know when it was. Let me have a look. It was Project Hezuk, and it was, when was this? I think it was, I don't know, it's quite recent. But the UK government developed a secret military agreement with Israel designed to help, quote unquote, counter Iran. It was called Project Hezuk. It's still ongoing, but the Ministry of Defense in the United Kingdom is refusing to say whether or not it is ongoing. This is what we are like. So I'll call out America, but when I say America, I want you to engrave in your mind, when Suleiman and I say America, we mean the UK as well, right? We're both complicit. It's disgraceful that Keir Starmer's doing this. One of my followers actually put under one of those tweets that Suleiman put out there about Keir Starmer saying, what, you're saying you're going to go to war for Israel? We never approved this. The British people have not approved this. You haven't asked Parliament. You haven't asked us. So it's disgraceful what's going on. Guys, I want you to do me a favor. Please retweet and share the space. Really, really important. You probably did it an hour ago, but just do it again for me. You can just go to Suleiman's profile or mine. It's a pinned tweet at the top. So just quote tweet it again, even if you've done it once. Just put a comment on top of it as to what you're thinking of the space. Let's get everybody in here. Make sure you've got your notifications on for Suleiman, and we'll get the conversations going. Any breaking news? Nathan, Doc, anybody, jump in, please, right? Hassan, you're only allowed to jump in with good news. Truth, any news that you've got, jump in. But Hassan, caveat for you, it's got to be good news, and you've got to do it in an upbeat voice. Simon, jump in.
Yeah, I just wanted to continue the story as well. So, Western intelligence, i.e., MI6, Mossad, CIA, also backed Saddam Hussein to go into a dirty war with Iran, which was a chemical war, which was devastating, absolutely devastating for Iranian civilians and all sorts of stuff. It was an 8-year, filthy, dirty, disgusting war that was backed by Western interests. And then when Saddam Hussein tried to price his oil in euros, we then decided that it was time to blow up the Twin Towers and go to war with Iraq as a result of that and overthrow the Iraqi regime. And so, this is our history. And, you're given a narrative of what's actually happening. And then when we wanted to, overthrow governments across the Middle East, we funded, groups, infiltrated groups. You'll hear about things like Muslim Brotherhoods and various other things. You infiltrate those groups, and then you use any type of revolution, which is what they're trying to do right now, in order to install a overthrow of the leader. And then when the leader is overthrown, you install your own leader. And then you take someone like Syria, a country like Syria, which was one of the most economically powerful and independent countries in the world. It was completely prosperous. And yeah, we don't really care if the leader is. In fact, we prefer a dictatorship leader, because when we want to turn on them, we can point to all the crimes against humanity and various other things and say, we're trying to solve those things. So we don't really care about what they do to the people or anything. And then you fund groups like ISIS. And then when a resistance like Hezbollah tries to fight against ISIS, you create sectarian divide.
Sorry, Simon, I just want to jump in really, really quickly, right? I've got a couple of things to read out. So that, remember, Israel went out with can we have a coalition, please, begging bowl. So then senior Iranian official Mohsen Razi has put out there, we are seeking to form an Islamic army so he's not even calling it like a coalition. He's saying an Islamic army with Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and several other countries. So that's the first thing. The second thing is he's also said, continuing, separate thing, we should move towards the atomic bomb, but according to the Supreme Leader's fatwa, we do not directly intend to build nuclear weapons.
Wow,
sorry, just leaving that in the middle of that freaking statement. Sorry, Simon, jump in.
Who said that?
I'll tell you who it was. It was senior Iranian official Mohsen Razaei, Rezaee.
Interesting. Yeah, so I was just saying, wrapping that one up, then we fund militias which are created by Israel and Mossad, like ISIS. We spread to the whole world the confusion between the people that took down the Twin Towers, which was CIA and Mossad, in collaboration with Osama bin Laden, which was a CIA agent, and you create all that confusion, and then you create groups like ISIS who use atrocity propaganda in order to radicalize Americans into thinking, and British people into thinking it's okay to go to Iraq and invade them. And what happened? Let's bring this bit back to modern times. You create sectarian divide by Shia and Sunni. You create narratives across the West because you put ISIS against Hezbollah, which is a resistance against a Western-backed intelligence militia. And then suddenly you create divide and conquer, where all of those people are arguing with each other. They faction off into greater and greater units. They start hating each other, fighting each other, and then use that in order to overthrow the leadership. This is classic colonization. Now, what happens when somebody tries to reveal that ISIS was funded by Western intelligence? What happens when somebody tried to reveal to the West that we've just killed 1 million Iraqi civilians? He created a website called WikiLeaks, and his name's Julian Assange. And Julian Assange revealed to us all the crimes against humanity. The genocide that we're witnessing in Gaza is the same genocide that we were committing in Iraq and all of these different regions. We've been doing this for decade after decade, crimes against humanity. Our currencies are backed by genocide, ethnic cleansing, apartheid regimes, and we're all trying to say that we're civilizing the world, and then we wonder why these things happen. And then what does Keir Starmer, our current leadership, who works for the military companies, what does he do? he tries to make out that Julian Assange is a rapist and frames him for it so that he can lock him up for decades so that we can't get access to the information, just so that we know the truth, that our leaders don't work for us. They work for corporate interests, and these corporate interests are willing to profit against genocide and all sorts of crimes against humanity. And now we can speak to each other. They're not able to catch up. And that's why the information war is important. We need to understand what we're actually backing here, and we need to level the playing field, because these people have never had a voice, and and what have they been called? They've been framed as terrorists, which were the same terrorists that we funded and created.
Simon, do you also know about the Operation Timber Sycamore?
Yeah,
Absolutely. CIA
Yeah, can you
operation
talk about,
to...
yes, because that's
just a
the
quick
key
announcement.
point in this whole scenario unfolding during the Arab Springs, during Obama. The Timber Sycamore has like a direct relationship with their so-called Arab Spring. If you want to sort of elaborate
Just
on
a
it.
quick announcement that this afternoon, Iran time, Iranian missiles hit the Anzali air defenses.
Truth, do you want to have a go at covering Timber Sycamore in Syria?
Sure. So, like a little bit of background, these types of operations aren't just conceived out of thin air within a short period of time. You know, they're conceived many years in advance, and they're generally connected to, you know, a State Department or a think tank policy that's crafted, such as, you know, Project for a New American Century, or Clearing the Realm, and also PNAC, of course, Project for a New American Century. Well, I just mentioned that one. And what the two had in common is to overtake and usurp the regimes both in Iraq and Syria, because they posed threats to Israel, and being in collaboration with, you know, America's allies at that time, which were Jordan, Egypt, and Turkey, of course. And Saudi Arabia they don't mention, but they would obviously help as well, provided their
Oh,
airspace
yeah.
and the bases that were there too. Yeah, but Operation Timber's Sycamore specifically was related to, you know, the regime change and the invasion of Syria, again to get rid of the Assad regime, or Assad government. He was democratically elected.
Truth, I'm so sorry to interject. Guys, I've got some breaking news. I have put them in the nest, which is just above where you can see myself, Simon, and Suleiman. You can see it there. Senior Iranian official Mohsen Rezai, literally what we spoke about a little while ago. Iran may be forced to take actions that could destabilize the entire region. This is what the statement is. Iran may be forced to take actions that could destabilize the entire region. End of statement. Now, literally, they are warning Israel, don't push your luck. Do not push your luck. You have done this. They've bombed Syria, they've bombed Lebanon, they've bombed Iran, they've killed people, you know, they've bombed Yemen, they've bombed Gaza, they've bombed the West Bank. And we've seen 2 years of this almost ourselves. Now they've got a warning. Do not, you know, we may be forced to take actions that could stabilize the whole region. So don't push your luck. The other tweet in the nest is search operations for trapped individuals continue in Haifa. And you can see the firemen there. They've actually got firemen, as like I was saying yesterday, helmeted up, you know, with all their equipment, trying to search for individuals in Haifa. They're not doing it with their bare hands like we saw images coming out for the last 19 months in Gaza. So just wanted to throw that in. The tweets are in the nest. Please share them, guys. Please retweet them. I'll jump in if there's any more breaking news. And please, you guys, jump in too. Yeah, pass it back to Truth, I think it was, right? Thanks, Truth.
Sure, thanks for those updates. So yeah, just to go back to the timing, because it's very important timing as well, when they came up with you know, the clean break memo securing the realm. That was in 1996 when Benjamin Netanyahu first took power. He was official opposition before that, and so he actually reached out to the State Department, specifically, you know, David Wormser, Duck Fife, Richard Pearl, you know, to craft a policy to be able to neutralize Israel's opponents, the two main opponents at that time. Iran would be added as well later, to allow Israel to thrive and, you know, be a regional power, even though they already had undisclosed nukes and, you know, they had an army, etc. But they feared Iraq and Syria specifically, and that later expanded into, you know, Project for a New American Century. Again, State Department officials crafted the policy to essentially take out 7 countries in 5 years, and they ended up taking out a whole bunch. You know, following the 9/11 attacks that Mossad and Israel orchestrated, you know, to kill 3,000 Americans plus the ones that died the first responders that died from the asbestos exposure. And so that would be used as a pretext, one, to demonize all Muslims around the world, make them out to be the boogeyman. So we go back to, I don't know, to 80s, 90s, etc. Nobody's really, I mean, the 90s less so, but I mean, while the war was going on, for instance, in the Soviet Union and Afghanistan, and the Mujahideen were actually there, no one really knew about who they were, that there was a proxy army, or what the real intention was. And that was to actually test out the use of a proxy army to undermine and weaken the Soviet Union, which would eventually lead to its collapse after 1988. Because prior to that, the U.S. had taken a really big loss in Vietnam when they lost about 70,000, 80,000 of their own troops, even though they killed 3 million Vietnamese. There was no victory for them. It was loss, and they were there mainly to secure that Golden Triangle area, to secure the opium heroin production exports for Big Pharma, among other reasons. It was for resources, as usual. So use of proxy army became a very valuable tool because you could just keep funding them, and they're expendable. They're like cheap labor, essentially. They love their cheap labor. And they would expand on that later through NAFTA. But again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Just to stick to Operation Timber Sycamore, that was just specifically for Syria. And again, it was pre-planned. And if you look at the WikiLeaks cables from 2006, you'll see that it was Hillary Clinton that mentioned that, getting rid of the Assad government would be a boon for Israel and a huge benefit for Israel. And this was during a time when, Assad was in the process of, cutting down on the debt to 20% debt to GDP, tripling the GDP of the country, providing free healthcare, free education, making Syria a relatively safe place based on, the massive number of tourism that was coming in. It was Syria at that time, before 2011, was one of the biggest tourist destinations within the Middle East. It was safe. There's harmony, unity, not perfect, of course, between the various
So sorry, I just
tribes.
got a statement out from former IRGC commander, and he says, we are, and I quote, we are still exercising self-restraint and have not deployed all our capabilities to prevent the global order from being disrupted. So they're doing masses of restraint. And let me just have a look. There's something else coming out. That was coming out from Al Jazeera, guys, by the way. There's something else coming out from Al Jazeera. So they've made a decision to redeploy forces, and this is the IDF, stems from concerns about the entry of Iran into the conflict. I don't know what that means, redeploy forces? What does that mean? Because of the entry of Iran into the conflict. Iran was already in the conflict. This decision aims to thwart any raids on residential areas or military infrastructure. So I don't know what's going on there. We'll catch up with it in a second. My app's glitching really badly. I'll pass it back to Truth. Simon, if you can just check your DMs for me as well, please. Truth, back to you.
Sure, thank you. So they want to get rid of the Assad government because he, refused to allow, for instance, a Rothschild bank. He would not end his alliances with the Axis of Resistance. He wouldn't stop his support for Palestine. He was allowing for weapons flow from Syria into Lebanon into the hands of Hezbollah, which is obviously a problem for Israel. And he was just considered, a fierce opponent of Israel, and he had an army, and he even had chemical weapons at that time as well. And so the plan, it was already decided this was going to happen. It was just a matter of timing. So they orchestrated it along the same time as the Arab Spring, where they would need a media excuse to be able to then claim that this was some kind of organic revolution. Meanwhile, it's really a collar revolution to, usurp the Assad government and replace it and turn it into like an Islamic caliphate, as they tried to do in Iraq. And so that's actually, in Iraq is where they actually developed or created ISIS. They pulled, the prisoners out of Camp Bucco, in addition to, of course, Abu Ghraib, and created an ISIS army, filled with criminals, radicals, etc., and Mossad agents. And there were Mossad agents that were infiltrated within them. And you notice that, they would only attack and kill other Muslims. They never attacked Israel. I think they did one time by accident, and they apologized for it. So you can see that this was premeditated, and it served many purposes. Well, the key one being to, of course, demonize Muslims, make them out to be terrorists, but a useful one because, hey, they could use it to serve the purpose of, overtaking, destroying Iraq, taking its oil fields, and then exporting cheap oil to Israel. Israel is a main beneficiary of the Iraq invasion. They got access to cheap oil because they don't have their own. And then they moved that same, they tried that same formula in Syria to get rid of the other fierce opponent, again, premeditated, officially really since the Oded Yunan plan to balkanize both Lebanon and Syria as well. That's from 1982. He was a chief advisor to Ariel Sharon at the same time when they did the Sabra and Shatila refugee camp massacres, where they killed well over close to 3,000 Palestinians, mainly women and children, crushing skulls, in a period of like 2-3 days. So these are the same individuals then advising for balkanizing Lebanon, well, all of Lebanon, and then Syria as well. So premeditated from a long time ago, and it was absolutely a CIA operated plan. I believe MI6 definitely had a hand too, so would have Mossad, but CIA took the lead there in creating, again, the proxy army to be able to carry out this operation, to overtake the Assad government, install a puppet regime, so this way America could swoop in, take the oil and wheat resources, financially cripple the country, bring it to its knees over time. Of course, Iran and Russia would intervene as well. They were asked to do so by the Assad government, and turned to 14 years of a brutal war between various factions, because you had the Kurds involved, you had Turkey involved, of course, the U.S., Israel, and then Gulf states, of course, funding ISIS, such as both Qatar and Saudi Arabia. So there's a lot of hands in that pot. Again, vying for control of Syria because of its strategic location, its resources, and of course to subjugate it to Israel's benefit. And that's always been the main objective behind destroying, destabilizing the Middle East, because chaos for Israel means stability, or regional control for Israel, because they want to be the regional power. And Iran is the last leg of that plan, destroy Iran, so this way they can assume regional their regional supremacy, and ideally achieve their Greater Israel project, was the ultimate plan, while they also bankrupt America at the same time by devaluing the dollar as much as they have by 99%, to ultimately be able to carry out the Great Reset as well, and input their CBDC. Their ultimate goal here, I believe, is World War III. It's just, I believe, a matter of time now. I'm weighing it. I hope I'm wrong, to get America involved in this war and the other powers in, and then boom, be ready for conscription and AI to take over our lives.
Yeah, the reason I wanted you or Simon to sort of go into details about this Operation Timber Sycamore is because someone mentioned that this is an information war, and many Americans aren't aware of the fact that we are, Americans, we are the ones who have created ISIS, created Al Qaeda, and all these things about the Islamist terrorists, etc., etc. It's all CIA Mossad operations in that region to overthrow the regimes that stand in their way of expanding and having hegemony and dominance in the Middle East. And so thank you for that elaborate explanation. And yeah, so
I'll tell you
yes,
what, if you think that's too wild to believe, go to the Department of Government Efficiency website, DOGE, that Elon Musk was using artificial intelligence in order to scrape all of your data and put it into all of these Palantir technologies that would be used against you. But when you do that, in the Department of Government Efficiency, there was a line item that accidentally slipped through. And it was last year in 2024, USAID sent over $697 million to ISIS training camps, Taliban, which is an organization to get the drugs into America at the governmental CIA level, and the Al Qaeda training camp. So you're still paying for the training of them, and you still utilize them. And so whenever you go across Africa and you hear about ISIS is coming into Somalia, and by the way, who was it that killed and sent out the assassination for Qasem Soleimani? That was Trump. And what was Trump? What was Qasem Soleimani known for? He was the one that was controlling ISIS and killing more ISIS members than anyone in the world. So Trump had to take him out because.
Sorry, Simon, just 1 second. Netanyahu has said, and I quote, Trump helped achieve the elements of surprise against Iran by publicly asking us not to attack, knowing that we would. Trump helped achieve the element of surprise by publicly asking us not to attack, knowing that we would. I've got a bit more news coming out really quickly, and I just want to go to it. It's coming out from Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera said we're continuing to, and we talked about this earlier, guys, on the space, that they are taking their forces out of Gaza,
One thing about the dwarves,
which thankfully means less people will die in Gaza, to reinforce the northern and eastern borders. And they said we are continuing to reduce our forces in Gaza to reinforce northern and eastern borders. And this is because concerns about the literally every accusation is a confession with these guys, right? So you know how we said in Iran, some of those blasts were done internally. They weren't from drones or strikes or missiles. There were people, their assets, their Mossad agents that are sat in Iran did them on the ground. So this is what the IDF is saying. There's concerns about the infiltration of militias from Iran and Syria and the entry of Iran into this conflict. And they're saying that the decision to deploy forces stems from the concerns because now we're fighting against Iran, and we want to thwart any raids on residential areas or military infrastructure. So what they're saying basically is we're deploying forces from Gaza into northern and southern borders because we do not want the infiltration of ISIS or Iranian militia coming in to set traps inside and booby trap, which is exactly what Israel has done. So that's the first thing. The second thing, really quickly, is that the Tasnim news agency says the Iranian deputy foreign minister said that the bombing of a foreign ministry building, which is, they're confirming that Israel bombed, deliberately attacked a foreign ministry building, and the bombing of a foreign ministry building is a war crime and part of the ongoing Israeli aggression. And they're saying that the Israeli attack on the building resulted in injuries to colleagues and civilians. There was that, and there was one other thing. Israel is saying that the Air Force and Navy, this is coming from the Israeli army, they're saying the Air Force and Navy intercepted more than 100 drones launched from Iran. More than 100 drones launched from Iran have been intercepted. So that's the breaking news. We will be putting this out soon, guys, but just wanted to give it to you really quickly. I see Simon's brought a couple of people up as well. We'll go to you, Dr. Osango. If you'd like to speak, just put your hand up and we're going to come straight to you. I'll pass it back to Doc. I think you were speaking, right?
I think I was just going to finish off the whole ISIS thing, and then we'll move to the next page. But look, if you want to bring it back to current events, this is still happening. Whenever you see ISIS, you'll see Western interest. Whenever there is something that Europeans, Americans, or Israel needs, you'll find ISIS. What was one of the first acts under the Trump administration? The so-called peaceful leader that's probably going to receive a Nobel Peace Prize when he takes credit for what China did here in normalizing this plan. But anyway, what will he take credit for? The first thing he did is he started saying that he was targeting ISIS in Somalia. What's in Somalia? Rare earth minerals. Those rare earth minerals are needed for all of the components needed for our laptops, for our iPhones. And another one that you'll see is he funded, they'll continue to fund M23 in Congo. There'll be, Rwanda is a proxy in order to fund violence so that they can steal resources from Congo and make sure that they get out and over to Apple and over to all of these companies and over to the Magnificent Seven companies. And they're using basically piracy in order to just steal it and kill people and massacre people. And so all of these militia groups, you'll hear about ISIS all across Africa right now. They only happen to go wherever Westerners need resources for their essential components, for artificial intelligence, semiconductor chips, and electrics manufacturing. And so there is an uprising right now, and a side effect of resetting this world order is that Africa might actually be able to, they're resisting right now and saying, hey, we'll allow you to use our resources, but you will have to invest in our country and build factories in our country so that we will sell you the finished parts. And the corporations don't like that. So what do? They send in ISIS to destabilize the region, turn over the leadership, and then the leadership becomes a puppet. And what does Trump say? We're attacking ISIS. We're taking out the bad guys. We're taking on terrorism. i.e., they're bombing the people that are fighting against ISIS so that ISIS can continue working for them and do the job they were paid to do. This is how the system works. This is what props up the dollar. And this is because the dollar is a debt-based Ponzi scheme, and it is being weaponized against Americans as well, because you're not even benefiting from it. So it is a predatory system by nature, by design. And this is what all of these wars are about. It is a killing machine. And it is deceit in order to make you think that you're the good people while people are resisting against this.
Thanks, Simon. Right, if we bring up some more, we've got we've got requests, I know, but I can't see them, Simon. If we can bring up some of the people requesting and then go to them. I think we lost the guy that you brought up. That'd be great. I'm just going to rotate myself, Simon, because it's really glitching. I'll just rotate and I'll be right back.
Okay, sure. So I'm just going to bring up some people. If anyone wants to talk while I'm looking for some people to come up.
Sure, Simon, I got you. So Khaleesi mentioned a little bit around the latest pieces of news being troops being taken out of Gaza and being deployed out to the northern fronts. And that's something I talked about a little bit earlier today, if you remember, where we could see confirmation on whether Iran is being successful or not in preparing the ground in the north to make it inviting, is the word I'm going to go ahead and use, for Hezbollah. So that's what we're seeing, and the Israelis are also recognizing that reality right now, which is why they're taking those troops and they're putting them in the north, because they're worried that Hezbollah is going to capitalize on this situation, which would give Iran, in this constellation, a massive advantage where Iran would actually have allied boots on the ground, whereas Israel does not have that same benefit right back.
Thanks, Abu Wednesday. Khaleesi, are you with us again, or are you still having issues?
I just posted a video of Israelis escaping from Tel Aviv, arriving into France, and being met by a crowd of people who weren't loving them. And they were just acting so...
Guys, just
they were
one
like
second,
giving
there's
the
some
finger
breaking
to
news.
the
It's in the
crowd.
nest. I couldn't put it in the nest, unfortunately. I'm hoping my mic's a bit better. But it's breaking news. Fox News shows the damage in Israel caused by Iranian ballistic missiles. This is Fox News saying Israel striking Iran now. We are seeing today Israel has never faced. Israeli officials tell us they are fighting for their survival. So the caption says Israel striking Iran now, but the actual footage is in Israel showing the damage Iran has done. See how deceiving that caption is, guys. It's in the nest. Share it, retweet it, call out Fox News and say you're showing us the damage that Iran has done in Israel, but your caption says Israel striking Iran now. No, it should be Iran decimated Israel now. It's in the nest. Please share it, please retweet it. Mike, back to who was speaking.
That was me. So I was just talking about, there was a video showing Israelis arriving from Tel Aviv to France, and the French are giving them a hard time, and the Israelis are like giving everyone the finger. They're jumping up and down like they're so victorious. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Also, I wanted to give you some news. Did you guys already talk about Senior IRGC General Mohsen Rezai talking about the micro drones?
Not that part. We did touch on elements of his statement, but please go ahead, Doc.
Okay, he says, most of yesterday's and today's attacks were carried out using micro drones installed in various ways on the roofs of some houses and were remotely activated. Most of these drones were smuggled a couple of months ago. Israel is afraid of flying its F-35s inside Iran, so it's forced to launch missiles from above Iraq. They have been able to penetrate inside Iranian skies on the western borders for a very brief amount of time before leaving it again.
What about Iraq? I didn't catch that.
He was saying that they couldn't fly their F-35s inside Iran because remember, Iran was like knocking down their F-35s, which is like the best jets they have. And so they said that instead what they've been doing is launching missiles from Iraq. And in this way, we're able to penetrate.
Who's that?
Sorry?
Who was this statement?
That is Senior IRGC General Mohsen Rezai speaking.
It's the guy that I quoted earlier, Nathan. Just really quickly, guys, there's some more breaking news in the nest. Israel's Channel 13 quoted Reserve Major General Amiram Levin as saying that Israel is heading towards a political and economic catastrophe. So this is a reserve major general in the IDF, right? So he's the backup major general for the IDF, and he's saying Israel is heading towards a political and economic catastrophe. Do not start fights that you cannot handle, is what I would say to that Deputy General. You've annihilated and killed children for 19 months. Don't cry about it now because you poked the bear. Just really quickly, Simon, there's one of the profiles, I'll send it to you, who says he's Iranian and he'd like to come up. They're requesting the mic down there, so if we can bring him up, that'd be great. I'll send it to you now. Thanks. Doc, back to you.
Yeah, again, the strategy is economic vassalization, and we're starting to see the first hints. This is an economic crisis because Israel is a welfare state, and it is a vassal state for military conflicts. And so if it's no longer being backed, this is the economic weakening and the economic destruction of Israel to be acquired as a distressed asset, because I believe it's no longer a useful asset. But that's what I think, you know, the net effect of this is in the end.
Yeah, I agree, Simon. I just sent you that profile name as well. Welcome to Ian. Ian, you missed the action today. Where have you been? What do you think? Have you been following it? Have you seen what's happened to Haifa?
It's just, I would presume more of the same. And I came in here to listen in and get some of the updates, but it's all just,
Can I
it's
just
wild. And
I'm so sorry. I apologize. Mohammad Javad Larijani, an Iranian diplomat and top advisor to the leader, says, if serious damage is done to our energy facilities, nobody is going to have oil.
Shots fired! Go
Straight
ahead,
up
Ian.
Hormuz. Straight up Hormuz. That's what he means, I think.
Sorry, continue, Ian.
yeah, well, and that's, you know, this is actually, it perfectly embodies what I was just going to suggest, which is that as this escalates, we're going to see the demands of course, the Israeli government to lean on the empathy and it's not even a request for, it's the demand for not only pity, but also subservience from the West. And I saw that good Dr. Michael put up a post just suggesting that sources are implying the U.S. has now confirmed that they will be leaning in on behalf of Israel. And I mean, I take that with a grain of salt until I see something more official, but I think we all know that that's inevitable. When that does take place, I hope the rejection universally from not just Americans, but the entire West is to outright not only call Trump for backtracking on his promises during his campaign for no new wars, but also the demands that he was signaling that Israel not get involved in this conflict and escalate the tensions, which they obviously did. And I think it's going to be dependent on us to ensure that that pressure is applied, because what the media is certainly going to do is try and rewrite this entire script and suggest it was Iran that attacked Israel first. I mean, the amount of lies that are going to be required to keep this charade going are, at this point, near unfathomable. And it's not even going to be lying. It's just going to be overt gaslighting from the administration, just like we saw during the genocide of the Palestinians. And so, you know, we have to stay convicted of that which we know is true, to speak out against that which we know to be lies. And please, you're just making the comment around Fox News misrepresenting this thing. I would just prepare everybody for, you know, days, weeks, maybe months on end for the lies to just continue at warp speed on this stuff, because they have to have outright control of the narrative, and they're obviously losing it on this platform, which I think is why we're seeing so many technical glitches, and I think those will magnify in the days and the weeks that are going to follow.
Thanks. I agree. Look, we've had so many glitches today. I'm inundated with messages from people saying they cannot join. And guys, this is not a botted space, right? I mean, if you want a botted space, that's along the corridor. This is not a botted space. Sorry, just 1 second. I'm just going to give some breaking news, but I just wanted to just give Ian, yeah, I agree, Ian. And the media's been disgraceful. This app is glitched like nobody's business. Nathan, here, it kicked Nathan out like so many times. He couldn't get back in. He kept clearing his cache. I just had to recirculate myself because it was just going to crash. But
no,
I'm going to come
I actually had real memory problems. I had to actually go and take stuff off of my phone.
Oh, okay, with me, I don't know what it was, but I just want to read some news quickly, and I'm going to give it straight to Doc.
Yeah, you don't
So this
download
is
nothing. See, that's why you don't have to download anything. You just talk.
Oh my
That is
God,
so
you know
wrong.
what? It's so wrong. Like, literally, me and Doc, and Mace, when she said the women have held it down for like 3 days, and now Nathan's getting
Yeah,
all,
but
like,
you guys don't
bored.
read your messages. When he said that earlier, you guys lucky I didn't have a mic because I had been messaging you and Maze. I sent you guys so much stuff while he was away, and you guys never read it out. And then when you said that, where is he too? He's not messaged us. I don't know what he is. If you went and looked at your messages, you'll see I had messaged you about 30 times.
I do have to say Nathan was probably being
Nathan.
funny because he's been very protective of us, and I appreciate you, Nathan.
Well, look at that. Suleiman came back, literally, he just went for something to eat for 10 minutes, and he came back just to back Nathan up. He's left his meal just to come back to back his boy up. This is how it goes down on these spaces, see?
Right?
But just really quickly, guys, I've got this this statement from the former commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, the IRGC, and current member of the Expediency Discernment Council, Mohsen Rezai, the guy that we've been speaking about, actually. He's giving some golden statements. He said, I mean, literally, I think the IDF are going to be soiling their frigging diapers tonight with these statements that are coming out. They're going to be doing poopy in their panties. He says, it is too early to reveal many of Iran's weapons as we are preparing ourselves for a scenario of expanding aggression against us. And if the war continues, I think it says. And then it says, during the past few days, all Arab countries contacted us and expressed their support for us. And Pakistan said, if Israel uses nuclear weapons, we will also strike it with nuclear weapons. Now, I don't know the veracity of whether or not these countries did contact him, but can you imagine? You know, the spineless, they're like spineless jellyfish, the IDF, right? They've got no spine whatsoever. They are going to be absolutely capping themselves today, reading some of the statements coming out of Iran. They're just like, listen, we're ready to go bish bash bosh with you right here, right now, what you say. And they've got all these Zayos, little baby Zayos running around crying in Haifa, not able to leave the country. And then Iran's like, yeah, your shelters aren't even going to keep you safe. Can you imagine what they're going through today? That is like maybe a 0.001%. That is maybe a 0.1% of what the people of Gaza have had to go through for 19 months. 19 months. It's not even a patch on it. So yeah, I'm not advocating. I mean, we all wanted peace. We all wanted it done. Nobody wants to see civilians being killed or human beings being killed on either side. But this, what's happening, is disgraceful. Go ahead, Doc. I just wanted to make my point, but jump in, Doc.
No, I'm so sorry. I was just going to say, because you might like this, that I had a video up of one of the settlers in the occupied territory who's like running to her car, trying to like get on. She's on her knees and she's crying and praying. I don't know what she's doing. And it's a settler. You know, the settlers who are just so full of themselves.
You
And
actually
so
have this video. I actually sent it to you about an hour or so ago, half an hour ago.
And we shared it. I shared
There you
it.
go.
Nathan, I checked my messages like I do because I'm a good little girl, and I posted it while I was running the space as well, Nathan, because I'm multitasking here. You know what I mean?
she's doing
Carry
it
on,
all.
Doc.
Ian, I think you were speaking. Would it be okay if I said something, or am I cutting you off? Okay, thank you so much. All right, this is not breaking news, but I thought this would be very interesting to read. Somebody posted this. The psychological trauma caused by Iran's defensive retaliation will already last a generation amongst Israelis and is irreversible. The myth of Israeli security and invincibility has been shattered. There's no way to restore it. Israelis will never feel safe and secure again. Nearly 2 years ago, Netanyahu promised to psychologically traumatize Gaza to send a message to the world. Now, it's the Israelis who will live with trauma, fear, and pain. These brittle people aren't like the rest of the region who are used to bombs and missiles. It will scar them for life. The vacation is over. The Zionist Disneyland is over. First, the Iron Dome is destroyed, then the psychological dome is destroyed. And what comes next? Scores of Palestinians, Lebanese, Iraqis breaking through their very walls. Israel is a paper tiger. This terrorist cope state has overstayed its welcome in a region it doesn't belong in. Sykes-Picot totally marooned the Arabs from their historical state traditions. They fought Israel for decades. Eventually, their leaders mostly sold out. Iran is now restoring true moral and authentic geopolitical authority in the region, as it had for thousands of years. Iran is acting as the guardian of regional civilization and big brother of the Levant. The first immune response provoked by Zionism was the Palestinian resistance and the Arab cause. We are seeing the final stages of the region's immune response to Zionist foreign invaders, a response invoking the wrath of a far more ancient power. Long story short, Israel has pissed off some very dangerous locals in a neighborhood it doesn't belong in and still fundamentally doesn't understand.
And you know, the worst things that happen to them, they might have to go back to their second home in Europe and America.
And they're getting heckled coming back in. What's interesting and horrifying is that countries like the UK, France, the US are making it so that nobody can say anything. So now we're being terrorized in our own countries?
Yeah, it'll be algorithmically put into Palantir as well, and it will be part of your currency in the future.
Miserable. What do we do?
I just want to read something out. Sorry, go ahead, Ian. Then I want to read something out from the UK. Go ahead, Ian.
No, I was just going to say, and I always like to focus on the psychological and the genetic aspects of this. And look, I can go into a number of different ways, but to do so in an attempt to be not in any way inflammatory with what I'm about to say, the biggest piece, I think, of what the good doctor just shared there was that line about the shattering of the notion of invincibility, and this group of people having to recognize or live with this notion that they too are vulnerable. But the piece that's so fascinating about it is if you think back to the ideas of what is the narcissist, it is the person that has no ability to look in the mirror and ever own up to or to recognize their own faults, flaws, and the notion that they are just as perfect as everybody else. And I think fundamentally that's what this system that we talk about, and when I say it, I don't just mean Israel. I frankly mean the entire notion of Jewish supremacy, which if you are a group of people with an immense amount of power and the ability, as Dave Portnoy rather well demonstrated, to basically say, we are above reproach. And if you step out of line, we will destroy you economically, financially, politically. We'll have AIPAC, ensure that you can't run against it. Like this system, to what Simon was just saying, that they might have to go back to the West. The curious piece is as Israel is having to recognize their vulnerabilities, so too is this notion of Jewish supremacy across the entire Western world. And so I think there needs to be basically this level setting that, hey, you don't get to be a bully anymore. You don't get to lie about anything everything anymore. You have to own up to the things that you maybe were involved in. Cough, cough, JFK, 9/11, the USS Liberty. And we need to have honest conversations about these because you can't belittle us into silence any longer. And I think as long as the West does that, maybe Israel will have to run from the physical location that is this current homeland. Maybe that's possible. But the West is going to have to hold them accountable for the why this running out. And the reason is because people are starting to look back and say, you no longer get to just bully us into submission, whether it's via rockets or social stigma via the media. And so I think what we are seeing is a transformative opportunity for the world to heal from this system that has basically been oppressing not only the Middle East, but the intelligence and the spirits of essentially the entire world under which this is currently reigning. So just figured I'd add that in because it is a very interesting psychological aspect of this system that's basically being unrooted.
And never forget, Ian, the Trump administration holds the key to the Epstein files, the 9/11 files, the JFK files, all of these operations that your own government did upon you. This partnership between Mossad, CIA, MI6. And so if they didn't have anything to hide, if it was really Russia and China, do you think they'd hide these documents? Or what would they really want to hide? Maybe it was actually JP Morgan. Maybe it was actually Elon Musk. Maybe it was actually Peter Thiel. Maybe it was actually the banksters and the fraudsters that are actually in control of our governments right now. Imagine if they just released those files and told you the truth. That's why they have to keep hold of them, because the truth is actually against their own interest because they're all listed on it.
Thanks,
Simon, isn't this right now fantastic?
Breaking news. Truth, was it breaking news?
No, I was just going to say this is a fantastic distraction with the Iran-Israel war that Trump has collaborated with Israel on to deflect attention from the fact he hasn't declassified any of those files. He hasn't filed properly 9/11, JFK, RFK, MLK.
Thanks. Guys, I want to keep it as much as possible on Iran and Israel. I understand the psychological aspects are really interesting. I heard Doc go into it deep the other day on a space, but I really want to stay away from the psychoanalysis today. So I want to read out what I was going to read out. This is about Britain. Britain is gearing up, and this is coming via Daily Mail is reporting it, AFP, The Guardian is reporting it as well. Britain may deploy troops near Israel as Iran, this is what they're saying, Iran threatens UK assets. I do not believe for a second that Iran is threatening any UK assets. And it says the UK is prepping for a front row seat in the Israel-Iran showdown. Military chiefs are weighing the deployment of British troops to the RAF base in Cyprus. It's 250 miles away from Israel.
And by the way, we got no passionate troops that are interested in fighting a war for the profits of military. There's a bunch of rainbow fairies, but not much else.
Agree, Simon. So it says during rising fears of Iranian or Hezbollah strikes on Western targets. I mean, literally, if Iran was going to strike it with Western targets, if Iran was going to strike British targets, it would have done it by now, as would have Hezbollah. Growing fears that Iran or Hezbollah could expand the conflict to target countries assisting Israel, but he shouldn't be freaking assisting Israel. It's funny because they're a bit worried because Iran said, didn't they, that they threatened Zionist regime, and therefore the UK is worried that they're implicated by that term Zionist regime. Well, if the cap fits, wear it. And the UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves didn't rule out deeper development. She said, and I quote, "We're sending in assets to protect ourselves and potentially support our allies, liar. You're only sending them to support Israel." And Macron clarified that France did not participate in Israel's operations and was not asked to. The UK's quiet alliance with Israel now faces a test. If the situation escalates, what British forces are going to do, because they're going to be closer than anybody else, to be honest, they're going to be just literally the other side of Israel. So that is really, really worrying. And as Simon said, Brits do not want to get involved. I promise you, no British person is happy about this, apart from Tommy Robinson's little baby crew, of course.
That's because he's paid by Israel anyway. He's an Israeli agent, and his job is to create.
Simon, just real quickly, can I just make one comment on the UK statements? So the UK, they have to make these kind of statements. They have to sell it as like, we're just doing this, because if the time comes when they do need to become more involved offensively, they need to make sure they've already sold it to the public. They need to kind of like soften us up a bit, get us like kind of on board a bit. So then if something does happen and then they want to go full force, they can just say, well, we already warned previously that, Iraq, that we were a target of Iran, and so on and so on. So basically, these type of statements that they're making is just basically laying the groundwork for selling it to the public that we had to do this.
And the British people won't fall for it, I'm telling you. So recently, a couple of weeks back, Keir Starmer said that we are moving to a state of readiness for war. And the implication of that is because everybody knows what a farce the Ukraine exporting democracy bullshit was, taking billions and billions of dollars of printed money from the Bank of England. And rather than actually focusing on the homeless people, the people that are traumatized after COVID and are broke and inflation and homeless in the streets in the UK right now, instead of focusing on them, they send billions of dollars over to Ukraine so they can send it back to those military contractors, and all the corrupt politicians get to take their cut in between. As soon as they announced that British people are meant to be fighting for that, they got record numbers of people. I got messages from all sorts of people that said, I'm leaving the army, I'm not doing stuff about it. So if you want to resist against this, do not fight these unholy wars. These wars are for the profits. You are literally a prostitute for the profits of these people that are making money out of genocide. And if you want to be complicit in that process, I'm not saying if you didn't know that, then maybe you thought you were fighting for your country, but trust me, the people that came back from Iraq, how were they treated by their country? They were addicted to drugs. They were psychologically traumatized. They were sent on the street, and they're now homeless, taking zombie drugs that the CIA is injecting into them. They don't give them homes. There's record homelessness. There's record suicide rates.
Well, and now
there's
their
record
medical
psychological
is going to
traumas.
be cut off, right? With the big beautiful bill, the medical's also being cut off, and before that.
Yeah, so the scam's up. If you participate in this is why we are in an information war, because they need you to believe that you are fighting to civilize the world. They need you to believe in their bullshit terrorism that they funded, that they created, and they need you to be dehumanized so that they can get you addicted to drugs and make you homeless at the end of this. Don't participate in that process. It's a dehumanizing process, and you will never come back the same person.
And you're not going to get the medical support you need even for your mental health when you do. Elon Musk sorted that. Okay, I want to say something about Pakistan. First of all, apparently, they were at the Global Forum saying that they vowed to defend Iran to the end. And this is kind of scary. There's a whole bunch of stuff in another language. But there is a direct nuclear threat to Israel, is the short version of this, by Pakistan Defense Minister, who has said that we do not pursue hegemonic policies against our neighbors, which are being amply demonstrated by Israel these days. Western world must worry about conflicts being generated by Israel. It would engulf the whole region and beyond. Their patronage of Israel, a rogue state, can have catastrophic consequences. This was preceded by talking about the world needs to be wary, that Israel is not bound by any international nuclear discipline, not a signatory to NPT or any other binding arrangement, so on and so forth. So they were talking about nukes, and then they were like, hey, this could have catastrophic consequences. I think they also are in it to the end because they're like, this is do or die. And Iran the same, but especially Pakistan, because they know if Iran falls, they're gone anyway. And they're like, they're not going to go down alone.
Someone opened up their mic. You got some news? NSA?
We just got a notice. We just got a notice from India, warning Pakistan that if they intervene, that India will intervene too.
Yeah, well, Pakistan's already buried India.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just a fresh warning right now from India.
Probably as a result of what Pakistan had said earlier.
Yeah, and India.
For sure, but I don't recall India making any big statements until just right now.
Right,
so,
because Pakistan made such a big
statements.
one. I think that's why.
Sure. Oh, sure. But that's just the fact that they're going public with it. It almost makes me wonder. I've always had a hunch that what happened with India and Pakistan not too long ago here was some kind of motion that was set in motion by Mossad, because they kind of foresaw this alliance coming. But as far as I know, that's the first official statement from India today regarding Pakistan's statement.
Could you share with me where you the source for that statement, please, or tell me where you got it from?
Yeah, so currently we're going to try and verify that.
Simon, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Just 1 second, guys. There's a tweet in the nest. It's footage of a powerful Iranian missile hitting Israel. Literally, check this out. Massive missile lands.
Oh yeah, that's a hypersonic one.
Yeah, so please retweet that. Please share it, guys. Please get it out there. Also set your notifications and give Suleiman a follow. Go ahead, Simon.
And give Felicia a follow.
Fancy joining the army and going ahead of the hypersonic missile in order to fight the profits of the person that's sending that bomb. They literally want you to go over and fight as a British person for a country that doesn't give a shit about you, in order to make sure that they can put that bomb, put it on you, and then they can profit from putting you onto it. Fancy fighting for that? That's what they call exporting democracy. But anyway, the whole thing with Modi and Netanyahu are two peas in a pod that work for the same interests, and they use the same strategy in order to try and create the same boogie monster out of the Muslims, so that they can fund the same militia groups and create the same type of psychological warfare of making you think that there's these terrorist groups that they're supporting, so that they can do the same strategy. And so Netanyahu and Modi, they've literally got the same playbook that they're looking to work together on. That's why you're seeing this alliance between Israel and India and Pakistan and Iran. And if you haven't figured it out right,
I was just going to say, I predict that because we have that statement from India, and because that railroad is just completed from China, I can anticipate we're going to have a statement from China, because I do believe that China and Pakistan have defense agreements together against India.
I'm not aware of a defense agreement between China and Pakistan. Do you know anything about that? Against India?
Right now I'm a little...
Just 1 second.
Sorry, you're asking me about India?
Yeah, just 1 second, Truth. Guys, I've just put a poll in the nest. You can see it. Suleiman is running a poll. Who has the upper hand so far? Israel or Iran? I'd like you all to please vote on it. I'd like you to do 3 things for me. I'd like you to vote on it. I'd like you to comment underneath it to all the people who are kindly listening to us tonight. And then I would like you to retweet it so other people see it and they can vote on it. Who has the upper hand so far? Israel or Iran? The nest is above where you can see myself, Simon and Suleiman. If you scroll up on your screen, you will see a tweet up there. Click on that tweet. Vote on it, comment underneath it please, and retweet it for me. That would be great, thank you. Truth,
there's a lot of news on three. There's a lot of news on the 3 aircraft carriers that are within striking distance on the coast of Iran now, and this news has just blown up in a lot of channels. I don't know if it's disinfo, but I always thought that they were not that far to begin with. But the exact aircraft carriers are the U.S. Nimitz strike group, the U.S. Carl Vinson, and the UK's HMS Prince of Wales. That places 3 aircraft carriers within striking distance of Iran's shores.
And the NSA, can you just clarify what you said before about the Chinese and Pakistan agreement? Did you say it was an agreement, defense agreement against India, or just a defense agreement, period?
You know, I don't. I'm a little bit busy right now, but I may be wrong on this, but I remember
No, there
in the
is.
past
You are right. You are right. There is a
there
defense
was
agreement.
an agreement.
Yes.
And if India is saying something like this is probably going to.
No. Listen. I know. Listen, one sec. I know there is an agreement. I'm asking you to clarify. Did you say there was an agreement against India?
No. There's agreement with Pakistan and
China.
With regards to India. Yes, China and Pakistan.
Yeah, so
I can't.
Just
right now, I'm a
to
little bit
clarify, China and Pakistan have a defense agreement, and
Yes.
the additional speculation on top was that the unwritten rule is against India, but India and China, while they have lots of things they disagree in, they're aligned with their BRICS alliance as well.
Can I just interrupt for a second? Breaking news, just for a minute.
One sec. Go on.
Just for a minute. About 10 minutes ago or 15 minutes ago, Trump is still not considering joining Israel's war with Iran to eliminate its nuclear program. A U.S. official tells ABC.
Yeah, that's all. That's like.
Yeah.
But just real quick.
Oh my gosh, I gotta go.
At the NSA, you said before. So you mentioned something before that I kind of lost track of. I have to come back.
So yes, there is an all-weather defense agreement between China.
Yeah, but we know that. But there is no one has no specific agreement against another country. They may have a specific agreement.
Yeah, right.
But not against specific. That's why I was trying to get him to clarify.
Yeah, no, there is. It's not.
Yeah, for clarity, framing a defense agreement against a specific country would be a massive act of aggression. So you wouldn't normally get that, but you can have a defense agreement, which China and Pakistan has. Is what we're saying.
Also,
and their partnership is also like.
1 second, I'm sorry. Also, NSA, you mentioned about the statement from India. I was just wondering. I'm still not able to find it. So can you tell us the source for it?
Yeah, I've got like 5 sources open. It's an Iranian resistance channel. I haven't had a second statement, but I normally get pretty trustworthy stuff from there. So when I can verify that, I will. That is a huge statement. So it normally takes a little bit of time before I see that kind of stuff pop up in other channels. Everybody keeping their eyes open, but generally it's not verified yet. But
okay, as a reminder to everybody, we're bringing real-time updates in the fog of information war with multiple, agendas that can control media. So what we're reporting, we're just trying to give you the information, And if anyone wants to engage in the fact checking process, then please use the comments. We'd rather get the information to you in real time, but you shouldn't treat anything as factually accurate until there's more verification done. But we'd rather get you the news, and we'll state whether we think it can be verified and what the source is as we're doing it in real time.
And one last thing on that. Also, when we do verify or find something that's incorrect, we always will let you know because we want to make sure that we're giving out facts here. We don't want to be spreading propaganda. So if we do make a mistake and you find it before us, just send it to one of us, let us know, and we'll happily rectify the situation. So just be mindful, guys. Some of the information, it may not always be correct, but we're going to try our hardest to make sure we do the best.
Is everybody else seeing huge news blow up about these 3 aircraft carriers? I mean, I don't know why I'm seeing it in every channel, so I don't know if that's the intention to try to scare somebody, but I'm seeing that all over the place about these 3 aircraft carriers right now.
Also, I just want to add in something that's very important, and there is evidence for this. So, a lot of these fires that are being reported as being like from air raids or whatnot, they're actually not. Like they're just actually fires that are being set on the ground by traitors within the country to try to make it look like the damage is worse than it is. And literally, I have footage. I've seen like about 4 or 5 videos now of people getting caught setting fires. So just be mindful as well.
Where is that? In Iran?
Yes, in Iran. People have been caught.
In Iran yesterday there was a lot of reports about people setting tires on fire all over the place to try to simulate attacks. And on the converse side, I haven't verified it, but I heard that Mossad was actually setting off car bombs, but I'm not sure if that's true or not.
Yeah,
one of the consistent themes.
Guys,
One of the consistent themes you'll notice is that
just one of the Simon. So can I just give this breaking news and then I'll give it straight back to you? Is just quite a few ones. I'm not sure if you guys mentioned them, so there may be a repeat. But Mayor of Bat Yam in Tel Aviv said 22 buildings will be completely demolished after being severely damaged by Iranian missiles. A source from Iran says Iran was scheduled to assassinate another group of people on Saturday night, but our repeated attacks prevented the enemy from carrying out. Sorry, let me repeat again. Iran sources say Israel was scheduled to assassinate another group of people on Saturday morning, but our repeated attacks prevented the enemy from carrying out this operation. We have the capabilities that we have not yet used that will be discovered with time. A bunch of drones were discovered in a truck with a launch system in the Tawhid tunnel in Tehran. Earlier, several Iranian media outlets reported that this is how today's attack in Tehran were carried out. Al Jazeera reports that Iran's armed forces spokesman said underground shelters will not provide security to Israelis. Former IGC commander said we are still exercising restraint and have not fully utilized all our capabilities to avoid the global order.
I actually
avoid disrupting the global order.
I posted a video of that, what you're talking about, that truck that was caught with drones. I posted that in the comments.
Yeah, I've got that.
Minutes. I don't know if you saw that.
I've seen the video. I've got the video. I'm gonna probably post it out myself. I'm deciding. Arrest of a Mossad internal operatives in Fashafiu. Discovery of over 200 kilograms of explosives. The police are in 2 separate operations conducted by the Special Police Command of Ray County in Fashafuya. 2 individuals identified as Mossad internal operatives were identified.
I heard
arrested over 2.
They caught 8 actually in that incident.
Okay. Okay, cool. Over 200 kilograms of explosive material and equipment, including 23 drones, launchers, guides, and control devices, along with 1 Nissan vehicle, were discovered and confiscated from these individuals. Anti-NSA says that's actually 8 individuals who were arrested. Also, the Israeli foreign minister said France have offered to participate in our attacks against Iran. American forces shoot down drone in the vicinity of Ain al-Assad, the base in Anbar. Iranian media says explosion heard in the Shahriar area of the capital of Tehran. The American aircraft carrier Nimitz and its strike group are now heading towards the Middle East, joining the American aircraft carrier Carl Vinson and the British warship HMS Prince of Wales. This positions 3 powerful aircraft carriers within striking distance of Iran's shores.
Do you remember when I told you yesterday that something was coming and I couldn't exactly tell you what it was? That was it.
Okay. So that's on the American and British side. Ministry of Health spokesperson said after 65 hours of Zionist regime aggression, 1,485 people are left wounded and martyred. Wounded and martyred individuals were transferred to hospitals, of whom 1,270 are hospitalized in university hospitals across the country, with more than 90% of them being civilians. 522 of them have left the hospitals, and 224 women, men, and children were